However, it becomes an inferiority complex when you begin to constantly feel inferior. Although we've all felt inferior, usually we're able to overcome our insecurities by meeting our standards of competency. But when you start to internalize your insecurities, then you start to feel inferior. Alfred Adler posited that
So when you make it real, when you make it like your identity,
Yeah.
when you believe it, then it becomes you.
You really
insecurity
believe it
becomes
to
an
be true
inferiority
of yourself,
complex
even
when the
if
individual is unable to overcome their
it's
flaw.
not.
In today's video, we're going to be talking about inferiority complexes.
A good example is Chandler Bing. His humor often stemmed from his insecurities. However, other popular 90s characters such as Edward Norton's character at the beginning of Fight Club embody a false sense of inferiority complex that leads to an unraveling and divergence into different mental conditions. So what actually is an inferiority complex? As defined by the American Psychological Association, an inferiority complex is a feeling of insecurity or inadequacy that stems from an actual or imagined deficiency, whether physical or psychological. These feelings may result in behavioral expressions such as social withdrawal or immobilizing timidity.
Okay, this is very drawn.
Oh God, I'm
It can
familiar
even
with
manifest
both.
itself as overcompensation or excessive competition and aggression. Sometimes in the pursuit of trying to prove yourself and competing with others, an inferiority complex can lead you to develop a superiority complex.
Oh, a superiority complex. Ooh, I often hear the inferiority. Be interesting if I came on here and I was like, I'm having a problem with my superiority complex, you know?
Right.
Both terms, inferiority and superiority complex, were coined in 1870 by Austrian psychologist Alfred Adler as part of his book.
I do notice when there is like thinky things and mental things, there's a German somewhere around.
It's interesting. And Alfred Adler, I didn't hear his name pronunciation that well. I've heard of him before. Related to something else though, so it's kind of interesting. These guys, prolific thinkers. A lot in psychology too, I noticed. Seems to come out of Germany, Austria. Sigmund Freud, probably.
Freud,
Jung,
and then
perhaps.
Carl Jung. Yeah, Carl Jung.
His
Went many years not even knowing who Carl Jung is. I do have like a thing to make a video about him too. He's a fascinating person.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. I agree. Yeah.
Field of what is known as individual psychology. Adler's ideas can be summarized as no human exists independently from society, and false individualism is at the heart of the chaos that exists in today's society.
She's dropping a lot of knowledge very quickly.
Interesting.
It's got to be hard to condense it into a 5-minute video. False individualism is at the heart of the chaos that exists in today's society.
Right. I
So
tend
what
to
does this
agree.
have to do with an inferiority complex? We know that an inferiority complex is characterized by feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. Alfred Adler believed that most humans feel inferior at one point in their life.
One point, I would say many points. You might not show it or say it, but late at night when you're laying in your bed, you're just like, oh, God, I don't know if I can do this. And I don't, like.
Do I dare say this on the internet? This is the story of my life.
I think it's universal. Yeah, I think it's relatable.
Yeah,
Or even
I think so
during
too.
adulthood. We all have experienced it. Inferiority usually comes from comparisons between ourselves and others. For example, a peer is more athletic or fit, thus causing you to feel insecure about your athletic ability.
Right.
These feelings are normal, usually.
And I think that the internet certainly exacerbated that completely.
Oh, big time. Yeah, social media as it is, the internet in general. Certainly magazines and fashion magazines before that, according to some.
Yeah,
sure.
Sure. And even like, if you lived in your local town or village, there was probably always like the cool people of the village. There was like the hunter guy who was bringing back the biggest catch and feeding the tribe, and you're like, your fingers are broken and they don't work, and you're just like, and then he gets
you got like a squirrel maybe, but he's coming back with let's just say the elephant or the mammoth. And
Yeah.
it's just like, oh man,
Has
like
the better
really?
pick
Like,
of the women, the better procreation. You're
oh,
just like,
big
oh,
time. Yeah. Yeah. It's true, man.
I
It's
know.
true.
They
That
are the impetus
comparison.
that moves us to grow and better ourselves. However, it becomes an inferiority complex when you begin to constantly feel inferior. Although we've all felt inferior, usually we're able to overcome our insecurities by meeting our standards of competency. But when you start to internalize your insecurities, then you start to feel inferior. Alfred Adler posited that
So when you make it real, when you make it like your identity, when
Yeah.
you believe it, then it becomes you.
You really
insecurity
believe it
becomes
to
an
be true
inferiority
of yourself,
complex when
even
the
if
individual is unable to overcome their
it's not.
flaws. When we have insecurities, we tend to compare ourselves with others. But comparison is not a tool to measure your worth as a person. It simply tells you where you can improve. What causes an inferiority complex? There are many things that can cause an inferiority complex. This kind of complex can easily arise during childhood and adolescence, when you're going through a lot of physical and emotional changes. Unfortunately, bullying can stoke the fires of an inferiority complex, exacerbating the problem. Additionally, growing up with too much parental surveillance can cause an inferiority complex.
Sure.
According to psychiatrist Daniel Block at Very Well Mind, too much parental surveillance can make...
It's real funny. I'll just add this real quick. You know what's a good one that kind of can get people is when you ask them what are they doing? Like if you just come up to somebody and you're like, what are you doing? And they're like,
That's true, man. That'll throws people off. It's thrown me off. So when I'm on the receiving end of a question like that, what are you doing? It's like, oh, yeah, nothing.
Well,
I could be doing exactly what I'm expected to do.
Yeah.
And still, it just wrecks.
What have you done today? What are you doing? And it's like, then people are like,
yeah, what have you done today? Is another one.
You're like,
oh, boy.
I've been working. And you're like, yeah, doing what? What?
I did a lot.
Did a lot. Explain it to
Be
me.
specific.
the child feel incapable or weak in caring for themselves. Additionally, a child being raised in an abusive environment may cause them to question their worth, which can also make them prone to developing an inferiority complex. Another cause of an inferiority complex is a physical change. It's normal to be careful about your appearance and desire to look good. However, there are moments when a physical trait can cause concern and even create feelings of self-consciousness. Feelings of self-consciousness around a physical trait can sometimes also cause an inferiority complex, an often overlooked trigger for an
I would think that the one they battle with a lot now or talk a lot now is short men. So if a man's short,
yeah, you're not 6 feet tall or taller, therefore, you're not, you don't have value as a man, according
you're
to some.
inadequate.
That.
You better make
inadequate. Yep.
You better make a lot more
as a
money,
man.
otherwise, if you're short,
you better have at least a 6-figure salary,
At
and
least.
if you can, 6-pack abs. I think was the third.
Oh God.
6. I can't remember there's a whole dark corner of the internet out there that talks
Is that
about
why
this stuff.
short guys can be so angry? I've known some short dudes who really need to knock it off. Like you need to just relax. I have another
I've seen it too.
a segment. It's called Inferiority. Well, no, it's called the Napoleon Complex. I made the thumbnail.
Oh,
the other
right.
day.
Napoleon Complex.
Yeah.
That's
inferiority complex is economic struggles. Being the only person in a friend group that lives with economic difficulties can inflict a lot of damage to a person's self-worth. The reason financial hardships are particularly damaging to your self-worth is because it creates an insecurity in your relationships, which then makes you feel more insecure.
Well, yeah.
Unfortunately, a persisting inferiority complex can develop into depression.
Yeah, rich and poor. My God, that's got to be the easiest comparison to being inferior, because you literally are inferior in the way the world works.
Yeah, financially speaking, it's like a hard. I mean, if you think this way only, right, in isolation, it's a hard number. You have this much, and someone has less, right? And it's like that one who has less is gonna naturally feel inferior. It's brutal until you add in things like that one should add, like your intrinsic value as a person, your social skills, your whatever talents you have, and so on and so on.
But
your
like
uniqueness.
if you're a child, like you don't really get why you can't have the new bike that the dude had down the street. You get it after a while, but like that, I remember I didn't really get a lot of new toys when I was a kid. There wasn't a lot of money being spent on like my wishes, right? And my other friends would get like a brand new bike. They got like a brand new CD player when it came out. They got all the new stuff as it came out. And with me, it was always, well, you got to wait, maybe Christmas, maybe your birthday. And I knew kids who always had fresh new clothes, and it's weird.
Oh, yeah.
I have a lot of clothes, and I think that has something to do with my child wound of not getting what was cool. I always had to have just some regular old thing.
That's interesting. Yeah, mine was a lot more. I can't say I wanted for much as a child in that sense, although my parents did impress upon me the importance of you don't just get it because you want it. It was like you have to earn it, or wait, be patient. And I also had to wait till Christmas or a birthday maybe to get the big ticket item. Yeah.
At least you could earn it, because that usually means just do good in school. Even if I did good in school, I most likely wouldn't get it. I'd still have to wait.
That was and I wasn't exactly the best student in primary school either. I'm afraid to say so.
Sleep disorders, and even suicidal ideation. So it's important to treat this condition quickly before it further affects your mental health. It can be hard to approach someone and talk about your insecurities. It's understandable. I don't like talking about my insecurities either. But if you feel like your insecurities are overwhelming you and affecting your everyday life, you might consider reaching out to a therapist for help.
I try my best now to really get a hold of my insecurities and think about them and be honest about them with myself and the people I love.
I'm with you there. Yeah, me too. Big time.
Takes a lot of growth, though. So let's just summarize everything we just kind of gathered and get our final thoughts on that. All right. So anything you want to add to it? Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, just that, inferiority complex. So I somewhat jokingly said earlier that it's the story of my life. But as you pointed out wisely, it's probably the story of everybody's life at various points. And I think it takes a lot of courage to admit that. Yeah. There's plenty of moments I know I felt inferior.
Yeah.
I dare not speak for everybody, but it's probably true of, everybody. It's human nature. It's just being able to put things in proper perspective.
Yeah.
Stepping outside yourself. When you have the skills to do that. If you don't, I think it helps to learn, like, you're unique. Just mathematically, there's only one of you in history. It's just the fact that you're here at this point, this place, and this time itself is a miracle.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. You stand on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
We all have a lot to learn. I'd say, it's just, but easier said than done. And
well put.
You don't become successful unless you're uncomfortable, I think, is another good thing to keep in mind for people.
Well put. Yeah, I could share an anecdotal story as well about
awesome.
Just inferiority complex in general. I stand a lot different. I dress a lot different than I used to. And what I mean, I kind of stand straight. And I've watched a lot of shows about like law enforcement and about like command posture. I'm not trying to go out and look like a tough guy, but this is what I'm saying. So there's a kid that lives in my neighborhood, and he's like college age or whatever. And when like you're like kind of like dorky looking when you're younger, you're too skinny, you're hunched over, and you could just see it dripping off the guys, and they just kind of look very gawky, very nerdy, very silly.
That was definitely me.
I certainly had that, right? And I understand that feeling. I didn't know how to hold power. And it's fine. You're like, oh, he's just young. You can tell by their skinny little necks, too. And they're all like, like it kind of. So I used to feel that way. So when I used to go places with my friends, like the first time we went to like a dance club or hall, I felt so awkward.
Goodness.
I didn't know how to stand. I didn't know how to stand against the wall.
I
must have looked. I mean, I look like you're supposed to look, I guess. But my point is, I went to the store today with my family, and I'm in a protector role now. Not that I'm looking for anything, but I'm standing next to them, and I'm about 6'1" with my shoes on, and I'm like, I don't have my sunglasses, and I just kind of stand there like this, and I'm like, wow, you're a very different person than you were in your early 20s,
Isn't that interesting? See that? I think that's a revelation of sorts on its own, right?
I'd like to think I don't come off like I'm a dick, like I'm trying to be a tough guy. I'd like to think I stand more naturally in my own person, like being myself.
For what's worth, I don't think you come off that way either. Obviously having met you in person.
Thank you.
Not at all. Just a healthy confidence.
Yep.
Which I think is a good. I think you strike that balance really well, because some people do come off a little bit like a little too far on the other side of that line.
Yes.
Crosses into arrogance, maybe.
Yeah.
But no, you come off as right. It seems right where you want to be, at least from my perception.
Yeah. I lean a little bit more into like coming off as like leadership, or coming off as a person who is, at least like is mindful and present. It's good to be present.
Present is, I think, helps a lot too. Paying attention to what's actually happening in that moment. When I was in my 20s, I looked like I was 12. I looked like a little boy. When I was in Russia, I was 20, and I looked like a little boy. It was just
how impressive though that you didn't allow your inferiority to stop you from globetrotting, going to a whole other country and experiencing something when nobody really had your back. Like you didn't have like a big cousin ready to knock people out.
I didn't have a crew over there, not like that. Yeah. Everyone was bigger than me. That's what it seemed. It was crazy.
So good on you.
Thank you. And I had a great time anyway. I think that challenge, that pushing myself to get, I'm going to put myself in reasonable, uncomfortable situations, just step outside that comfort zone, to use the psychological cliche, I think really helped a lot. Because now when I stand in a mall or a store or even in a club on the occasion I'm there, I just feel less fazed by things.
Yes.
I can tell I stand more confidently. I'm just sort of looking around. I'm quieter. I'm not, panicked in any way.
It's like the great Alan Watts, who, if you don't know who he is, he's great.
Oh,
he calls he calls it the happening, like the things that are okay. So you're sitting at the food court, the person working there cleaning out the thing, the mother and daughter walking by you, the bird that's on top of the window that you kind of see when you're looking at that direction for a half a second. It's like the happening. And he doesn't even give it a name. He just says it is.
I like that. The happening. Yeah.
But it's great. In one part he goes, and let's not even give it a name. And I guess if you get more into that, you'll feel less inferior, because no one's really like looking at you anyway, unless you're doing something really crazy.
That's so true.
It's all in your head.
True. Yeah. It's all in your mind. It's all in a state of mind, to quote, I forget who I heard that from. It's all in a state of mind in a way too. We think everyone's looking at us. They're really not. They're really not. They're too busy in their own heads thinking about their own insecurities. Most of the time, I'd argue.
Sure. If you're a high school kid and you're like in school and you're a known person and you're a known part of a group or an organization, then maybe they're looking at you. But when you're going out into the world, you're just kind of blending in.
Yeah, you're kind of blending in. You're like everybody else. Yeah.
But try not to be inferior. Just try to be more aware and in control and confident. Let's be confident.
Sing it. There you go.
But not overly confident. All right, buddy. That was a good one. I'm out with that.